Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Paul Wrightson. Paul lives and breathes by his mantra, live fully now. After a life-changing event, Paul totally changed his life. This gives Paul the passion to support and guide others to also change their lives for the better and to find the true passion for living. Paul is also a big believer that everyone deserves to live fully now and in their future. So, Paul, it is great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Anna. It's great to be here.
And I just look at, as I was saying before, this podcast, I feel like I've met all these different people globally. And when I first put it together, I toyed with the idea of having like a podcast studio to do it all in. But I would never have met you if that has been the case. And I just love that we can meet all these amazing people from the other side of the globe, literally, because I know it's very early morning time for you and it's 10 o'clock in the evening for me here in the UK. So thanks for making the time really to come on the show. So
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I mean, same. I mean, it's late for you, but I mean, it's just one of those things we can. I think you mentioned just before we jumped on about like being at a coffee shop. It is like that. Meeting people around the world. It's amazing what we can do now.
It is, exactly. So it's really good to have you on the show. And I know I shared with you my story, and I know a lot of the listeners know my story. I don't want to bore them to death with keep repeating it. And it's great to be able to. I know you're going to be sharing your story and all the good stuff that you're doing now with your yoga and all the work that you're coaching with men, and some of the rebalance stuff that you're focusing on, which I think is really, really important. I have these 3 pillars, and I'm just curious to see if you relate to these, because these 3 pillars have sort of given me equilibrium really in my life. So freedom is funny, actually. The podcast, I always thought about, shall I do freedom? Because sometimes we see this freedom thing online a lot, and it's all about money, isn't it? Like freedom and $1,000, and it kind of put me off, but I kept coming back to this freedom word. So freedom for me is like, there's freedom in love, which for me is all around self-care and self-love as well. Freedom in money, because I do think that it's not all about money, but when you haven't got money, it causes that imbalance and stress, and also money can give you, a certain lifestyle. And then freedom in mind is my last one. And mind, the word mind doesn't really encompass what that really means to me, because it's not about being positive all the time or having this strong mindset. It's just, being able to deal with what life throws us, because I know on my journey there's going to be other things in the future that happen. And it's allowing myself to kind of release the energy that I want to release. Like if I want to get upset, it was something that I learned on my journey, that trying to be this perfect person and be fine all the time was actually quite damaging. So just being able to like turn things around or deal with things, but not be positive all the time, really, is the freedom in mind. But obviously that's a long, waffly way of saying it. So I don't know if you can relate to any of those on your journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Anna. Yeah, I think all of those, because I started listening to your work and I picked up on all the pillars. I think it's the mind is an interesting one. I think a lot of people focus on the first 2, but they actually don't do the internal work to bring that calmness to the mind and the body. I think there's so much that happens to us in every day. I think with the mind's part of it is it's bringing back to how we react to it as well. I think it's if negative things can happen, but if we've got this I guess feeling quite grounded and solid who we are as a person, and our mind's calm, we can react to it in a controlled way instead of
Yeah.
the sort of the victim mentality is. So it's having that sort of calmness and calmness and grounded in the mind and the body to really, be able to handle anything that comes our way.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, there was an example of that recently with, I think, one of my tires like blew on the car. I had to quickly pull over, and my boys were all like panicking. And I was like, "Look, it's fine. Ring the guy, the AA
Yeah.
guy to the car, and let's go for a walk. Let's go and walk to the sweet shop." And like by the time we came back, he was there. And it's just interesting, isn't it? Like you say, like you react. I think when you've had something fairly traumatic that you've dealt with, or a big thing that you've dealt with, a big wake up call, then other things you are able to control how you react to those situations when it whatever it is that comes along, like you say, in a more grounded way. So I'm really
Absolutely.
curious for you to like open up and share as much as you feel comfortable in with the listeners on how you kind of got to this point of doing all this good stuff with the guys that you're coaching, the yoga, and live fully now. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it.
Fully now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my background is that I was in the corporate world. I was in a relationship that wasn't quite connected, a long-term relationship. So, and it's funny, when I was in the corporate world, we did all the, the management profiling, and I was, I was an account manager in certain different companies and different roles or whatever. And then when we did the management profiling, I was at the opposite spectrum of where I should be in that particular role. So that sort of started opening up my eyes that path wasn't for me. So I was more the I guess the entrepreneur side, the creative side, the opposite spectrum.
I remember doing the same in the corporate world. we did colours. What was yours? Because
that was it.
We did different colours. So it was like yellow, red. Red was very dominant. Yellow was very amiable. Green was green. Blue was analytical. Green, I think, was creative, maybe, or sensitive.
Something like that, I think. Yeah. It's like a pie chart thing. I remember that. Most people were on this sort of segment, and I was like, the opposite, where should be in that particular position. So it was quite funny. And then I lost someone close to me in many years ago, and that significantly changed my life. So to the point where I was looking at other people around me, where like in a corporate world, also relationships, what sort of relationship they had compared to what I had, the people that were around me. So that took me on a path of, I guess, discovering other areas of my life that I wasn't really connected to or happy in. And then then at that particular time, I changed or left my job, left the relationship, went traveling for a while, came back, met, my beautiful partner I'm with now. And we've been together now for about 15 years. So all of that changed because something happened, so that I lost someone. So, I even think now, whether I'd be in the same position if that didn't happen, and just going through the mundane, wheels of life, which that's what it felt like at the time. So, Yeah,
no, it's interesting when you look back like that, because I do, with thinking of me being in the corporate world and just how different my life is now. And like you say, it's like that mundane. And I do think, and I don't mean this in like a superior way, like now that I'm out of it, but I do think there are a lot of people that do just settle, as in settle in their job and settle in relationships.
Yeah.
They're waiting for this big thing that's going to happen to them when they retire and everything's going to be okay or whatever. And so even though it's like we're like the crazy ones to kind of do something about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because sometimes I have friends that kind of talk to me in a really sympathetic way, like, oh, you got your divorce. And I'm like, I'm really grateful for the whole journey of it. I'm glad I got out and just, I'm glad that I left the corporate world, even though that did feel like I was taking my foot off the edge of the cliff at one point.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
because you do so much growth, I think, with
Absolutely.
personal development within that journey. You get to understand yourself, don't you? So
Yeah, and I mean, going through it is probably not the most pleasant thing, but I mean, it's coming out the other side or learning along the way. It's just, significantly grows and strengthens you as a person to be able to handle, like I said before, other things that could pop up in life. So, yeah.
yeah. So how did the like this whole live fully now and the yoga stuff come into your life?
Yeah, so gosh, anyway, I can't remember how many years ago now, but I met a friend of mine in Sydney now, in New South Wales in Australia, and his mum was a Swami who was brought to Australia sent from her father when she was very young to teach yoga to the Western world, and they chose Australia. So I met her when I was living in Sydney, and then I really connected, and I was always interested in the sort of like the Eastern way of being able to basically heal yourself, and the breathing and the mind body connection. And then I met Swami, and then through my friend Sanjay, and then it sort of grew from there. So ended up spending a fair bit of time at their property, learning what she was teaching as well. So then that sort of led me into the doing the yoga teachers course through them, which led to me wanting to share that with others so they can basically feel better and in their mind and body. And it's the type of yoga where it's not about standing on your head and doing all these amazing poses or looking a certain way to be able to do them, to do yoga itself, which is a lot of the barriers that people put up, to be able to share that and knowing that it's if you can. And Swami had this saying, if you can breathe, you can do yoga. So that's exactly what it is. You can just sit there and just be mindful, coming back to the freedom of the mind, and bringing that deep connection into the breath, which then just calms the mind, calms the nervous system. So I just found all this fascinating, so I wanted to take it out to the world. So that's how Yoga Anywhere started.
Yeah. It's interesting because, like, you may have heard me say on some of the other episodes that years ago, anyone that talks about yoga and meditation and breath work, I'd think, oh God, they're a bit crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's all a bit woo-woo. Whereas now, I was so into it, and just always have my evening bath, because I had trouble sleeping at one stage. So I've got into this like routine, like you do a baby, get them in the bath, wind them down, move all the digital, phones and all that kind of stuff, and just sort of, like you say, rest your mind. Because I think it doesn't, you don't have to have gone through something, but just our lives are so much busier with all this technology now, aren't they? WhatsApp,
yeah, absolutely,
so easily contactable, and it's hard to kind of switch our brains off. And that, I don't care what anyone says when they say they're not stressed. It's an internal stress that builds, isn't it, from just not being able to actually take time to switch off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a world of I guess on the pressure of doing and being, and so it's definitely definitely so important to turn away from technology from time to time, for sure.
I know you do your daily yoga, so you've got a membership with that. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so with that, I was doing, like, obviously just a normal sessions, in a studio. I didn't feel it was enough. Like I really, and this is just before, this is in 2019, came up with this idea to take it all online. Obviously now everything's online with sort of what happened a few years ago, but it was just more giving, being exposed to more people to get the benefits of it. So with the Yoga Anywhere, so it's a Monday to Friday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, so people can book in, they pay a monthly membership, then they jump into the booking platform, then they can book basically the morning sessions, which is Australian time. Obviously, over in Europe, would be the evening before. So wanting to have it, I guess, having it accessible to a wider audience to get the benefit out of it, because I know how powerful it is, just by bringing that awareness back into the mind and body.
Yeah. Recently, I interviewed a guy who we were talking a lot about meditation, and he was saying about just doing like 1 minute initially a day.
Yeah.
And it was a new concept for me, because I was always, I never really thought about the time, but I suppose a lot of people think, oh, I haven't got time to do that. And I think anything that you get into a bit of a habit, it's like every time I do like a health detox with food or things that I'm eating that could be bad, there's always one thing that sticks. Like ages ago it was peppermint tea, and now that's tea of choice. Then
excellent.
Just other things every time you do something, that then there's one or two things that you take away that you then becomes a habit. And I think having the daily yoga that you do, then it's getting people into that habit, isn't it, of rather than just doing it once a month or whenever, randomly, because you're not going to get the benefits of doing it ad hocly. It's something that you've got to do, repetitively over time to see the outcome and the benefits of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the more we do it, obviously, the more benefit we get out of it. But I mean, I have a guarantee that that I guarantee someone, if they just come and do one session, that they'll feel totally different. And it's like, but after obviously doing it consistently, yes, you do feel the major benefits out of it. It's funny because I get people that sort of stop for like 2 weeks, or they might be traveling for work or whatever might happen, and they can feel it actually, their whole body changing, not in a positive way, from not doing it sort of 3-4 times a week. So it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, really good. And I know you were just sharing as well all this good stuff that you're doing with men, with like a course or coaching program that you've got.
That's it.
Tell us about it.
So I actually started coaching about 8 or 9 years ago. So that was one-on-one, which I'm still continuing, one-on-one coaching. And then I went into the men's coaching one-on-one. And what I found was that there was like a global issue, if you like, or everyone that I was surrounded by, or coaching is it's always the same message. They're feeling lost. They don't have any direction. They're not sure what they're doing in life. They feel the stresses of all the different roles they're playing. So then I decided that to make it accessible, to bring it into, and all of the work that I've done on myself as well, to bring it into a 9-week online course called The Complete Man. So that is all around that. It's taking someone from feeling lost, lack of direction, not sure what they're doing, to right through to having certainty, clarity, and feeling complete at the end of the 9 weeks.
Yeah. That sounds really good. There's a guy that I follow online who that's all he does is men coaching. And I do sometimes feel like it's always very heavy. The coaching industry is always very heavily focused on women, I think, as in regards to like their mental health and things like that, just and well-being. Whereas actually, I think it's big kudos to you to be focusing on helping other men, because I think sometimes it is difficult to actually, because I had a therapist when I was going through my stuff, and I was a bit like, I don't want it, like adaptive child, I don't need it, and like I'm going to be walking in there, there's going to be a box of tissues on the table, and it was all like that. And my friend was just like, look, I had it, just try it. It's just could be one thing you could try. Anyway, she then became like my best friend. I interviewed her.
Oh, wow. Yeah, fantastic.
And she said to me, like we go to the gym, we show off about having a personal trainer, all these different things. But then when it's to do with sort of like mindset, or like you say, like rebalance, or just like your own mental well-being, it's like, seems like it's an embarrassment to have help. The ego pops up. So I think sometimes men would like it, but they they see it as a weakness by asking for help. Whereas I think the more male coaches or focus on men doing it, the more, normal it's going to seem, whatever normal is.
Yeah, to agree with that. I mean, there is a huge stigma there, especially the older generation, that, if you're seeing a coach or a counselor or, therapist or whatever, that you've actually, there's something mentally wrong with you, what's wrong with you? So I think, my way of thinking is, to actually ask for this help, whether it's a therapist, a coach or a counselor, whatever it is, it's actually shows strength in the person to actually be aware and acknowledge that, okay, someone can help me with this. I don't have to do this alone. And then, get that sort of correct help to, and support to get through whatever's happening.
Yeah.
It's a massive strength.
Because my counsellor, therapist, whatever you want to say, she said, I have a counsellor. And she said, there isn't anything traumatic that's going on at the moment. I just have it because I want to just keep checking my level and just be able to release to somebody rather than burden a friend or, like, and I thought, yeah, that's really interesting because, I was always thinking it's like when you were going through something or to help you, but to empower you moving forward, it should be just like we would do with a personal trainer for our fitness.
Absolutely, yeah. And getting that stuff out too, whether it's negative or whatever, just being able to get that out of the mind just allows for, good stuff to go in.
Yeah, absolutely. So for people who are listening to this, who could be going through a challenging time or maybe just feeling a bit like lack of direction and things like that, is there anything you want to share with them that could help them maybe take that first step to get support, or just something that you've learned along the way?
Yeah, for me, it touches on the number one of the three pillars is love, and it comes back to self-love. So it's but it goes deeper than that. It's really getting clear on the good things, who I am and who they are, and then we've always got this thing, writing out 100 things why I'm good, or what positive thoughts or feelings I have for myself, and 100 seems a lot, but I mean it's so important because we always put ourselves down a lot. So it's turning the mind around and saying, okay, what are the positive things that are unique to me, and then getting clear on what I value, what actually is important to me, what is important to me in my life now that I've started to shift and bringing that self-love in. Now, actually, what do I want?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I think actually a lot of the time you don't focus on what you really want. You focus on what you think you should do.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's like it's quite natural for us humans to focus on what we don't want instead of like shifting around and go, well, what do we want?
Yeah, exactly. Or the whole thing, what other people think about us. I know I sort of battled with that for a while. And I actually am really grateful to my ex-husband for certain dramas that happened when the police were called, because it forced me not to care what people thought.
Yeah, true. Wow.
Like
Yeah, that would have been challenging.
The embarrassment, the humiliation, and all that kind of stuff. That actually I realised when I came through, I thought, actually, I don't really care now because I'm humiliated or whatever. But I think that held me back for a while. I think that whole work in the corporate world and society as well, like you get a corporate job, don't you think, oh yeah, I've got it, I've got a car, I've got my house, I need a relationship, and it's just the next thing that you have to tick off that society says that we're successful, not even looking at whether we're happy or whether the job's fulfilling or the relationship has got the right understanding or respect and all that kind of stuff. So it's all of those things, isn't it? To find, there's a quote that I don't even know who did the quote, but I think it's happiness is what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in harmony.
Oh yeah. Yeah, wow, that's a good one. I heard that one.
It always used to impact me when I wasn't in a good place, when I was still in an unhappy relationship. I used to think, right, I know what I'm thinking. I know what I'm thinking. I know what I'm saying I'm going to do, but I'm not doing it. And I think also people can relate to it if they've got an idea to start a business. Because we talk a lot, don't we? And it's like the action that moves us forward. There's also the thinking and say. There's a lot of people that think and say, but the do creates the happiness to be, like you say, in harmony.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's having that, I guess, the willingness to, or the awareness and the willingness to do something about it and taking the action to change. I mean, that's a huge one. You know, we can complain or whatever else how life is, but if we actually don't take any action to change it, well, it's going to be like that, you know, no matter what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. So for people, again, who are listening to this, where do you hang out? Are you on a particular social platform that you spend more time than another? Or what's the best way to kind of like reach out to you if people are thinking, God, I won't mind doing this daily yoga? Or there's a guy listening that's thinking, I want to get access to was it 9 weeks, your course?
Yep, that's it. Yeah, perfect.
I know you've got Live Fully Now. And I actually just put that in. I actually put in Google "Live Fully Now" Paul to see if it came up. It came up straight away. So well done.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Yeah, that's good. Well, yeah. So there's a website, Live Fully Now, and then livefullynow.com, and then there's also the Facebook group Live Fully Now with Paul Wrightson. I've just started a men's private group as well called Men Helping Men Rise. So there's a few different ways to find me and connecting for sure. I'd love that.
So anybody that's watched us on YouTube, hello, and you'll be able to see all the comments that in the comment section. Sorry, everything that Paul just mentioned. We'll put all the links in there so you can easily access it. And if you're listening to us on any of the podcasting channels, it'll all be in the show notes just to make it easy so you can reach out to Paul directly. But it's been great meeting you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been fantastic. Yeah, it's very honoured to be on your show.
And if I'm ever in Brisbane, I've said to you, it's on my bucket list to go.
Excellent.
I'll reach out to you. We can have a coffee or something.
Perfect.
Coming on the show, I always ask everybody the same question. On the birthday episode, we chopped the answers to this question back to back, which was quite interesting. And there's obviously no right or wrong answer. And actually, if I was asked this question probably 10 years ago, I probably would have said something, maybe 15 years ago, I would have said something really materialistic as the answer.
Yeah, true. Yes, I can relate to that for sure.
Really changed now. But what does freedom mean to you, Paul?
For me, it means having that balance across all the life areas. So, not spending a huge amount of time in one area and letting the other one slip by. So it's having that feeling of balance across all of them, and learning and growing along the way as well. And really having that connection to, to myself, but also feeling connected to sort of everything that's around me as well.
Yeah, I like that. So do you believe that we can get true balance? I was having this debate with someone recently.
It's probably never going to be like total imbalance. I think it's always going to have ups and downs and whatever. So I guess it's focusing on the ones that are less in balance and sort of bring them up. Like self-rating each life area too helps with that as well. So, once a week or once every fortnight, I always go through and rate my life areas between 1 and 10 to sort of see which ones are, one might be 8, the other one 2. Okay, I'll need to sort of focus on that one more. So it's always I think it's a shifting
of it.
Yeah.
Other than
that's right.
Being perfectly balanced all the time, because we always talk about this life balance, don't we? And I think, sometimes if I'm doing a product launch or something like that, I know that I'm working more hours, and then other times it might be that I'm spending more time with my boys or whatever than
true.
I need to get the balance back with work or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think it's being aware, isn't it, of it? And I like that scale to, what is it, a scale to 1 to 10 that you do?
Yeah, so 1's like totally out of balance, 10's, couldn't get any better type thing. I mean, I don't think at any time they'll all be totally in balance because there's so many different variables that sort of pop in. And like you said, a product launch is happening or whatever, so you're spending more time in that one. So it's that like you mentioned, it's that awareness and, knowing which ones that slightly slipped away so you can focus on those.
Yeah. Brilliant. Great stuff. Well, it's been great meeting you, and thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And everybody listening, go and check out Live Fully Now, and Paul, check out his Facebook groups, and reach out to him directly if you want to kind of
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm on Facebook, so direct message or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, great stuff. Enjoy the rest of your
Perfect.
day. It's
Thanks,
bedtime,
Anna. Yeah.
bedtime for me now, but it's the start of your day.
That is indeed. Yeah. Thanks so much. It's been a great chat.
Yeah, brilliant. Great stuff. Thanks ever so much. Bye. Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mine. Love, money, mine. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom